Hey there, this is going to be a quick video on how to do the wave speed math skills practice and introduction on how to use the WISE method and the solving triangle that goes with it. And this is to help you if you were not in class or you're trying to do this at home without any help. So this is what the problem looks like. A couple things to introduce you here are the triangle, this WISE method, and the wave speed formula. So first up, the wave speed formula is the formula we use to calculate the speed that a wave is moving at. So the velocity of a wave is equal to the wavelength times the frequency. And then you can use the speed to calculate the energy of a wave, which you will do later. So all these units are listed here. So the velocity of the wave is this. This is called lambda. It means wavelength. It's measured in meters. And frequency is measured in hertz. So to the right of this is a triangle. Now, this triangle is unique because this is the triangle we're going to be using in it for now and basically through the end of the year whenever we attempt math problems. What this does is it takes the algebra out of math problems and it sets you up with a formula straight up without having to rearrange any variables. And here's how this works. So, for example, if you are trying to find something, so whatever the question asks you to find, you're going to cover it up in the triangle with your finger or your mouse. What is remaining is the formula you will use to calculate that thing. So, with that being said, what you're going to do is you're going to cover up whatever it asks. All right, so if I'm trying to find velocity, v, I'm going to cover up the top here, which leaves me f times wavelength. So if it's going left to right across the bottom, you're going to multiply. If what you have left is up and down, you're going to divide. You literally will have your numerator over your denominator. So for example, if I'm looking for wavelength, I'm going to cover up wavelength in the triangle, and I literally have v on top of f. So v over f, v divided by f. That's how you find it for frequency. I'm trying to find the frequency, then what I'm doing is f, cover it up. I have speed of the wave divided by the wavelength will give me the frequency. It works like that every time. Whatever you're trying to find, cover it up, and it will reveal the formula you use. Make sure you use the correct units as well. All right, so I'm going to attempt a few problems for you to show you how to do one where you solve for the wavelength and one where you solve for the frequency. And then I'm going to leave you alone to do one where you solve for the speed, because the speed ones are the easy ones. You just multiply across your numbers, and it's pretty simple. There's no division involved, so it's pretty straightforward. So in this box, I have three separate things. I have W, I, S, and E. Now it spells WISE, which is supposed to be clever for what am I trying to find, goes in this box here. So it asks you what you're finding in here. The information you're given from the word problem goes in this box. You do your setup and solving in your S box, and then you put your answer in your E box. What this does is this allows you to organize all your information from the word problem into nice, easy boxes to see. It helps me grade it when I grade your stuff because then I can see where your answer is. That's the first box I check. If that's correct, I move over and I check your math and make sure you have things in the right place. It also helps me see if you went wrong at a spot. It helps me see what you missed instead of the whole thing. So this whole problem is worth 4 points. If you get the what are you solving for and the information correct, but you mess up the setup and solve, you'll get half credit. So it's not all or nothing. Since it's not all or nothing, then you can get a better grade even if you miss like one step, okay? And then that way you can get more points overall, hopefully leading to a better grade for you. So here's how it works. So the question says, the lowest pitch that an average human can hear has a frequency of 20 hertz. What is a wavelength? What is the wavelength of a 20 hertz wave with a speed of 331 meters per second? Okay, so what you have to do is you look for the question in the problem. So what is the wavelength is my question, okay? So what am I trying to solve for is the wavelength. So the wavelength goes in this box. Now that you know the wavelength, we're going to tackle the triangle here. So in this triangle, I have a editable picture. So all you got to do is double click on it or click edit. This helps you practice what to do. So what you need to do next is cover up the wavelength because that's what you're trying to find. So the wavelength symbol is the lambda right here. So you click and you drag this. So it covers up lambda. And you can see that it easily reveals that V divided by F is the correct answer. So what you're going to do is divide your speed by your frequency. Save and close. Okay, when you do that, it'll reveal this. And again, this will show me that you know what you're doing and you completed the first step correctly. Next, we're going to go over here and we're going to fill in our variables, the information from the problem. So in the problem, it says that the frequency was 20 hertz. So I like to do this as I go through and just pick up what it says as the problem goes on. So the frequency is 20 hertz. So I will put that in the frequency box here. And it says, what is the wavelength? There's my question. So for the wavelength, you don't know. So put a question mark there. That helps you remember that, hey, there's nothing that goes here. This is what I'm looking for. And then it says, it repeats the frequency again. Be careful because you have to read carefully. Don't throw in 20 for your speed. Normally, it will spit out exactly what you're looking for, like what it says here. It says with a speed of, that's a very clear indication of your speed next. So this is my speed here. So I'm going to put that in there. All right. So my what is set up, my information is set up. I have the equation that I'm going to tackle here, V divided by F. So for my setup and solve on the computer, it should look like this. So B, and then the symbol for divide is slash, and then F. All right, then I'm going to plug in those numbers. So for V, I had 331. So, oops, 331 slash my frequency was 20. That's showing my work. Right, so now you just got to do the math. If you pull up your calculator, so 331 divided by 20 gives me 16.55. So I'm going to go over here to the equals box and put 16.55. So it says also, what is the wavelength? Wavelength is in meters. So there's my answer. And that's it. Pretty simple, straightforward, all right? This helps you organize and set up your data and information so that it's easy to find, easy to locate, easy to see, all right? And this is all I'm looking for in the problem, okay? So let's go down and check out another problem here. All right, so with this, you're going to start the problem the same way. First, read, and then find out what we're solving for comes here. So what am I looking for? All right, so one of the largest pipe organs in an auditorium is the Conventional Hall in Atlantic City. The pipe is 38.6 feet long and produces a sound with a wavelength of 10 meters. If the speed of sound in air is 346 meters per second, what is the frequency of the sound? All right, so what am I solving for? Look for the question. What is the frequency? There it is. So I'm looking for frequency. Okay. If I go to the triangle, double click to edit, cover up the frequency. So my formula is the speed of the sound divided by the wavelength. So now I'm left to fill in my information. And again, normally we do this on paper, so you have to write out everything, but what's nice about the computer is you can straight copy paste it in there so you don't screw up anything. So it says right here, the speed of sound in the air is 346. Boom. The frequency, again, we don't know because that's what it's asking us to find. And then the wavelength is 10. So it says the wavelength of 10. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Don't just start throwing down numbers because you see that there's a bit of information in here that has nothing to do with the problem. It says the pipe is 38.6 feet long. Doesn't say anything in the problem about needing to know how long the instrument is. So this is why I really like the WISE method, because it really makes you focus on what is the problem asking for. I've done this problem for several school years, and I can't tell you how many students before I did the WISE method would just throw this 38.6 into the equation somewhere and wind up with the wrong answer. All right, so be careful about what you're reading. And then if you continue to read, it says a wavelength of, that is what you're looking for. The wavelength is 10 meters. Next, set up and solve. All right, so my formula is V divided by wavelength. Now, wavelength is not on your keyboard and easy to type. So you can do two things here. I don't mind if you write out wavelength like that, or copy the symbol that I already have and paste it like that. All right, so I'm okay if you do that, copy and pasting the symbol so that it's easy to see. All right, and you don't have to retype it. All right, you just copy paste it, and then that's how you get the symbol. Next, go down. All right, the formula now, if I look, is V divided by wavelength. So my V is 346 divided by 10. All right, so again, you can use a calculator, but for this one, you might not need to, because any number you divide by 10, you slide that decimal point over 1. So the answer here is 34.6, and frequency is measured in hertz. As we saw before, all right, so this is your answer, again, set up and done correctly. And again, you can double check this stuff because, again, up here it said, hey, the lowest sound a human can hear is 20 hertz. Down here, we calculated a sound of 36 hertz. Hey, that fits what we've calculated before. So that's another way you can check your answers, is by going back and forth to other stuff we've done before. All right, so this is how you use the triangle. This is how you set up and complete WISE problems, and how you calculate the speed, frequency, or wavelength of a wave. There's some other ones where we talk about the speed of light, even though in most of the examples we talked about sound. Both waves work the same way. So make sure you use your calculators if you need them. Make sure you watch this video a few times if you need that as well. And hopefully this helps. Submit when you're done, and I will see you in class.